Hello, everyone. This is Curtis Walker, once again from GoHustlerGo podcast. So just wanted to welcome everyone back, and I have another hot, powerful, interesting, and thought-provoking podcast I wanted to deliver to you today. So if you're checking this out on the YouTube channel, I want you to go in and just drop me a comment. And in that comment, I want you to tell me if you've ever heard of the phrase, "What's done in the dark will come to light." If you have heard of that phrase, go ahead and either put a thumb up emoji or give me a number 1. Now, that's what today's topic is talking about. What's done in the dark will come to light. Now, when I heard that initially, I've heard it for a long time, ever since I was a kid. What's done in the dark will come to light. Now, I've always had that presented to me in the most negative of connotations. And so when, you hear about it, you usually think about somebody doing some underhanded, low down, dirty deed to someone. And then the details or the events of what they did in the dark, usually is some sort of crime or illicit activity. But when the daylight hits, that's when the truth starts to come out, and the evidence connected to the various things that they've done, it actually starts to show. Now, I know that as a kid growing up, my mom and dad, they were pretty strict. Now, I know I'm the youngest. All my other siblings, they're girls. And so growing up, the girls, it was really strict on them. But as I got older, it wasn't super tight on me. I saw the difference though, because I was the youngest. So I had a little bit more leeway. But I know we had one standing rule. And that standing rule was be home before the street lights came on. So the goal was always to go out, have a blast during the day. But the street lights, when they used to come on in our neighborhood, they used to have this buzzing sound just before the lights would actually hit. So us kids, we would play close late into the evening, and then we would it would always make a click, then would make a buzzing sound, then the lights would actually start to hit. And I had it timed down to a science where when I heard that buzzing sound, how far I needed to be away from my house in order to make it to the house without breaking mom's curfew. Now, my mom, she was real strict about that one, where you had to make sure you were home before street lights came home. And that rule was there for a reason. And I didn't find out much about that until I got deep into my later teenage age, where I then started to venture out past the street lights. And my neighborhood on the block that I lived on, it was pretty calm. But the block next to where I lived at, that's where all the wild activity used to happen. And I mean, it got really wild. And so there were a couple of nights where I stayed out a little too late and ended up getting into a lot of trouble as a result of hanging out. Now, that's the negative side of what goes on in the dark will come to light. Now, the real root of why I'm bringing that up is I wanted to point out a couple of things or a couple of examples from the sport world. Now, I know that many of you probably, if you don't know, you should know or heard of Kobe Bryant or Michael Jordan. Now, these basketball greats, they had impeccable work ethic in the sense where they had a strong training regimen. They worked real hard and real strong with their team. But the one thing that made both of those players stand out is, especially when it came to them being true champions, to wear those championship rings, they practiced super early before the rest of the team, and pretty much after the rest of the team had already ended their training, they were still on the courts shooting free throws, going through various drills, because they wanted to make sure that when they showed up for game day, They were at the top of their game. They were the best in their craft. So what I'm trying to really drive home to you is, no matter what you're going through, no matter what walk of life you're in, whether it's something in your career, it could be something connected to fitness. It could be something connected to, let's say you're in sales and you want to be the very best or at the top of your game. Well, there is just enough when it comes to practice and preparation. And then there's that part of what you do in the night. Those hours that you put in that put you and places you a cut above the rest. Now, I know that when it comes to online marketing, and especially in part about getting yourself out there in social media to draw attention and, I'm going to say, putting the right words and spin and even enhancing your craft or working with the tools that are out there, it requires a little bit, not a little bit, I'm going to say it requires a lot of effort. I'm not going to kid you about that. If you've never done it before, it can be overwhelming. And, anybody who tells you otherwise, they're kind of lying to you just to actually get you to point and click. I don't really want to sugarcoat it. If you've never done it before, it does take some work. Now, if you've never done it before and you're trying to do it by yourself, it takes a lot of work. If you've never done it before and you know the importance of doing it, and you actually have someone coaching you or teaching you, then you're still going to have to do the work, but it makes the work a whole lot easier and understandable as to why you're doing so much work. But once you get all the initial work done at it, then you'll actually find that through the repetition, through the practice that you put in, it becomes easier and easier to execute each and every day. And that's why I actually started doing this podcast. This was one of the areas I knew I struggled with. So I had to get in the habit of recording every day. I had to get past myself. I had to get past all of my excuses and idiosyncrasies, and I had to get out here and do it. I had to get past having all the right setup, having all the right equipment, or having a big fancy office with a backdrop. You don't see any of that here. This video may not even go through a lot of post-production editing to try to make it look fancy. This video pretty much just is going to come as it is, because the whole point of me doing this is getting in the habit, getting in the practice of producing. So what are some areas in your life where you need to do some hardcore practicing so that you can produce better? Is it some task that you're trying to do on your job that you need to get better at, that you need to put more time in? Is it some sort of skill set related to sports and fitness? Is it weightlifting? Is it more reps that you have to put in? Is it some competition that's coming up where, it could be some sort of winner or some sort of loser that you need to prep yourself for? But either way, I really want you to think about putting in the time so that you actually stand out and stand the cut above the rest. So with all that said, the one thing I always like to leave you with, I want you to get over to GoHustlerGo.com. That is GoHustlerGo.com. Go there, check it out, check out the blog site, and also sign up for our newsletter. And the thing that I always love to leave with you in the challenge I want to put before you, and that is, you're getting this podcast, you're getting this YouTube video free. Well, act like you paid for it. Act like you're sitting in a $5,000-$10,000 course, and you've got bombarded with a ton of information, and this particular segment here is probably worth a pot of gold. But I want you to take it and treat it like you just paid for it, like you made a major investment in it, so that you can go ahead and take it serious, take action on it. Now, get out there though, no matter what, practice and produce. Get out there with, no matter whether it's daylight, nighttime, whatever you consider your nighttime to be, but get out there and practice and grind and get out there and actually make the life that you want for yourself by putting in the best effort. So I'm Curtis Walker. It has been my pleasure to sit here and talk with you and share my heart with you and give you insight and knowledge. But also in that newsletter, when you sign up for it, you're going to get so much more. So don't hesitate. Get out there and connect with me. I look forward to connecting with you on the next video. Thank you. This is Curtis Walker from GoHustlerGo.com. Have a fantastic day.